I'm 78 years old. I married late, in my late 40s, and I had my first baby at 50. There are things about that choice no one ever said out loud to me. Now that time is almost gone, I'm saying them myself. I'm not angry. I'm not looking for someone to blame. I just don't have the energy to protect comforting lies anymore. I live alone now. My husband passed away years ago. The house still carries his habits, but the sound of him is gone. Some mornings I wake up and it takes me a moment to remember where I am in life, not the address, the stage. Old age does that. It strips away urgency and leaves you with clarity you didn't ask for. That's when the memories come back, slow and steady. When I was young, I didn't think of myself as someone who was delaying life. I thought I was being careful, responsible. I worked, I saved, I waited for things to feel right. In my 20s and 30s, marriage felt like something serious enough to wait for. I didn't want to rush into the wrong life with the wrong person. That felt like wisdom. I had relationships. Some ended gently, some painfully. Each time I told myself it was better to walk away than to settle. People asked about marriage. I'd smile and say, when it happens, it happens. I believed that in my 40s, the questions changed. They became quieter, more polite. Friends my age were deep into family life. They talked about children with ease, as if it was something that would always be there. I still believed I had time. Then, in my late 40s, I met the man who would become my husband. We married quickly, not out of fear, at least that's what I told myself, but out of certainty. He was kind, stable. We understood each other in a way younger people often don't yet. When I found out I was pregnant, I didn't cry with joy the way stories say you should. I sat down. I remember thinking, this is happening very late. Doctors spoke carefully. They used calm voices and neutral words. They talked about risks, but not realities. No one talked about what it means to raise a child when your body is already slowing down. No one talked about the years ahead. I loved my child from the moment I held them. That love was real and deep, but love doesn't cancel exhaustion. By the time my child was learning to walk, I was already managing aches I never used to have. By the time they were in school, I was older than most grandparents at the gate. Other mothers talked about their energy, their plans, their futures. I smiled. Inside, I measured my days differently. I didn't collapse. I didn't fail. I simply carried more than I admitted. When my child was 10, I was 60. When they were 20, I was 70. That gap shows itself quietly. I worried constantly about my health, about how long I'd be around, about whether I'd see enough of their life to matter. My husband tried to reassure me, but time doesn't listen to reassurance. When he got sick, everything shifted. I became a caregiver while still being a mother. There's no manual for that. When he died, my child was still young enough to need me deeply, and I was old enough to feel how heavy that responsibility was. I didn't talk about my fear. I didn't want to burden them. That silence created distance without meaning to. The moment I truly understood the cost came in my early 70s during a hospital stay of my own. Nothing dramatic, just enough to make the future feel shorter than I'd imagined. I watched my child leave the room that evening, grown, busy, loving, but living their own life, and something settled in me. I would not be part of their story for as long as I once believed. That wasn't tragedy. It was timing. There are things I cannot change now. I cannot give my child more years of me. I cannot reclaim energy I spent managing fear instead of presence. I cannot undo the loneliness that sometimes comes from being old while your child is still building a life. I don't regret my child. I regret believing that biology and time were negotiable. If you're listening to this and you're younger, I'm not here to instruct you. I'm just offering honesty. Waiting feels safe until it isn't. And when the truth arrives, it doesn't announce itself. Now my days are quiet again. My child calls, sometimes visits. At night, the house settles into silence, and I think about how sure I was that I had more time. I don't have much left now, and that's okay. I just didn't want to leave without saying this plainly because no one said it plainly to me. If this stayed with you, sit with it. You don't need to decide anything today. Just don't assume time will wait. It doesn't.